of sickness. Recovery from addiction is a transformative journey that is rooted in self-awareness, emotional health, and personal growth. And developing a growth mindset enables individuals to view setbacks as opportunities for learning, fostering resilience and long-term sobriety. In studio, we have Aziz Al-Hassan. He's a mental health and addictions nurse resident with the Ghana College of Nurses and Midwives. He's a psychiatric nurse. He joins us this morning to tell us where we are as a country when it comes to addiction. Good morning, Aziz. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How was your weekend?
Not bad. I mean, we are coming out of the Fugu banter, so we're enjoying the online vibes and all that. So, I mean, so far, so good.
Right. Did you post a photo of yourself?
Oh, yes, I did.
Nice.
I think I posted a couple of pictures wearing smoke with the Maya, and then even under the post of the Zambian president and all that.
Oh, you're pressing it.
Of course.
Right. Okay. So before we delve into rehabilitation and how to deal with addiction,
right?
What would you say addiction is to the lay person?
Right. So to begin with, I would say a good morning to all viewers, and thanks for this opportunity. You know, to begin with, I mean, when we mention addictions, very often people think it is just a willing or a desire to be using drug. People don't appreciate it as a disease, and that is a bit challenging. I will not fault people who who doesn't see it as a disease. Right, but I mean, that is why we are here to throw light on what addiction is. So, virtually, addiction is a chronic brain disease, a chronic relapsing brain disease. To cite an example, just like we have diabetes, just like we have hypertension, just like we have all these chronic illnesses, it is the same way we have addiction being a chronic illness. And then it is characterized by repetitive use of substances. So it is an obsessive compulsive problem where you constantly think of your drug of choice, and then based on the thoughts that you have, you constantly want to use or you practice or use the drug. So it is an obsessive compulsive problem characterized by repetitive and continuous use of substances despite its harmful consequences. Again, when we talk about addiction, people think it is all about drugs and all that. Of course, I respect that. We have the substance, addiction.
That's drugs. That's
yes,
the drugs.
Drugs, alcohol, and drugs like marijuana, cocaine, pethidine, the tramadol that we have been hearing of, heroin, and all that. So they fall under the substance addiction. And then we have the behavioral addiction. Sometimes, people who use substance equally exhibit some of this behavioral addiction, such as gambling addiction, masturbation, screen and porn, a lot more, behavioral addictions that we have. So I want us to know or note that one addiction is not as a result of a moral failing. Very often we think people who are suffering from the disease of addictions have failed morally, or they are bad people, or
their parents didn't bring them up.
Perhaps they were not raised properly. That is not the case. It is a disease that is making them to exhibit all these character defects or abnormalities in behaviors that we often detect. And then note, we will not, for most family, they don't see clients using substances. So it is manifested in the changes in behaviors for them to know that, oh, this is my son, this is my daughter is suffering from some level of addiction. So it is not as a moral failing, it is a disease, and then it is not spiritual or caused by any curses and what have we.
We'll talk about the spiritual aspects and when we get to that. But I'm struggling to see how you're going to tell someone in the village who probably doesn't have access to all of these things that we have. You're going to tell the person that Obana why you're addict, a disease.
Right.
How do you break that barrier?
Right. So
feel free.
Right. So Nietiane say who say yenuanom omunum ensa ontime nhye ne ho so omuntime en control senia omu enum ensa any we sebi ukoye nkwa na ase the most common drug a man for ete use alcohol and pimpini we sisi anso tramadol so de no ho abeden abegin.
Right.
So say who say omu osati bia ni mu a enye say omu pe ena omo wo sa yare ne nemum or how a efi adwene ni mu ena mo enum sa nromo no edum pempenso bi a munni ahohyeso, they are unable to control themselves. That's how come constantly omo use substance. Nti say hu say enuanom wo sa tibia ni mu a and say yebu omo aten and say yebu omo abomfia e wo say eti ase say omo yare na yin bisa ho say kwan ben and e befa so abo omo.
Okay,
right.
Okay, so now when maybe family and friends have noticed that their friend or their person has become an addict, what would be the telltale signs to let them know that, listen, we have to take this person to the rehab? What signs will the person begin to exhibit?
So for family and friends, they always see the changes in behavior of their relative or their relation. Very often, most families do not or have not actually seen their relations smoking or drinking before. They are able to tell based on the way they behave. Realize they begin to lie excessively. They spend unnecessarily. Monies begin to get missing from the house. Items are missing from the house. They procrastinate. They abandon their activities of daily living. Under normal circumstances, when we wake up, we are supposed to perform variety of activity even before getting to work. But persons who are suffering from addiction realize they put everything after.
On hold.
Yes, they don't prioritize the need to do some of the normal things that every other person is supposed to do. This is a clear indication that persons are sick, they are suffering from addiction. Note, the addict is always in denial. The addict is always the last to know that others know that they have a problem. So very often, when you even tell them that I am suspecting you are using something, they deny. They don't want to admit that they have a problem. That's how come, for some reasons, families will want to bundle their loved ones into treatment because they don't know how to go about it, and then this person is denying that they have addictions problem. So virtually you detect it in their way of life and then their behaviors. Changes. Yes, of course.
Okay, so now tell us, when you now decide to take your person to a center, what are the steps? Do we have centers everywhere?
So fortunately, I think we are having a lot of rehabilitation facilities coming up, and then fortunately again, myself and then my colleagues, we've been able to put together a rehabilitation facility.
When you say your colleagues, which
my colleagues who are also addictions nurse residents with the Ghana College of Nurses and Midwives, we are 4 in number. We came and then we have established a 10-bed capacity for meal. So if you are checking in, for persons who are in denial, they don't check in by themselves. So usually they don't go through this routine. But after a point in time when they start treatment, they admit to go through the routine that I'll talk about. So we'll first of all do the screening, which is the assessed. Right, we do a screening test to determine whether you have a problem or not.
What does that look like? The assessed test, what does it look like?
We look at in the last 1 month and then in the past 3 months, your use of substances, whether people have complained, how it is beginning to affect you. So we take all that into consideration. There is a score attached to it. And then based on that, we know that, okay, you are in the higher level, you are in the moderate level, or you are in the low level risk. So based on the levels you find yourself in, will determine whether you do a residential, which is whether you have to check into treatment facility and be there, or you are in the moderate and then the mild, where we just have to give you some level of education for you to understand that these are the consequences if you continue to use substances. Right.
Wait, so what are the characteristics of somebody who's in the high level?
Neglect of activities of daily living. Virtually they neglect the activity of daily living. That is a common thing that people will see. They don't take care of themselves. They don't attend to meetings. There is broken interpersonal relationship. They abandon their work. There is financial mismanagement. They lie a lot. There is a lot of conflict that has not been resolved. So these are some of the signs and symptoms to make you understand that you are in the higher risk. Therefore, you need to check into treatment. And funny enough, people believe that they can stop it by themselves because I started it by myself. It doesn't work like that. You have the intention, you have the desire to change, but to change requires some level of support from professionals. So, you have to check into treatment or see a professional for them to assist you on the best treatment modalities.
Okay.
Right.
Do people walk in willingly to rehab centers?
Yes, a few.
Okay.
Yes, a few.
What does that say about our awareness in Ghana then?
So you see, I will not say awareness is low.
Okay.
I mean, awareness is very high when it comes to addiction and its related issue. But one major challenge has to do with people putting other things before their treatment. You know, when you are checking into treatment, you are concerned about your work, your family, your marriage, some contracts that you need to execute and all that. But we should note that when it comes to addiction, it is a full-time disease. It is not a part-time disease. Addiction knocks you. It is the only disease that when you confront it, you have to surrender before you win. You can't say that, oh, man, or I'm taking it small, so I can't. There is nothing like control using.
It has to be total.
You have to stop. So you have to put any other thing aside and check into treatment. And that is where the challenge is, because most people don't want to put things aside to check into treatment.
Okay.
Right.
And does stigma play a part here as well for people not wanting to check in?
I mean, it is here and there. For people, I mean, there is people who stigmatize you because they want you to stop.
Okay.
And when you stop to, people will still be stigmatizing you and then watching to see that, I mean, this is just a camouflage that you are putting up.
So
that is the challenge.
So in this case, is stigmatization valid? If you want the person to get better?
No, it's not valid. That is why we educate people that instead of stigmatizing people, get close to them and find out why they are using. You see, drugs and substances or our addictive behaviors are only symbols of an unresolved emotional issue. People are going through a lot. That's how come they end up being addicted or using substances. When you find yourself in the extreme forms of emotions, when you are either too happy, when you are either too sad, and then you don't have this emotional control or emotional intelligence, you will end up putting up certain behaviors that will affect you at the end of the day, most especially using substances and being addicted.
Right. So can somebody be totally cured of the addiction disease? Now we know that's a disease.
Right.
Can somebody be totally cured?
So that's why I cited some examples like diabetes and hypertension. We don't cure them totally. We manage them because they are chronic diseases. Addiction in this case is also a chronic disease. We don't cure addictions, we manage addictions. So when you check into treatment, you are taught what you are supposed to do to maintain or sustain your recovery. Failure to adhere to those recommendations, you are likely to relapse. It's just like hypertension. They say, okay, take your antihypertensive. If you feel your BP is fine, you're not feeling dizzy, and then you stop before you realize you're having high BPs. It's the same thing with regards to addiction. So there is no end. Once you have been diagnosed or have addiction issue, it is for life. You just have to modify your way of life. Desist from old friends, old places, and old behaviors. And then talk to your sponsors. Don't bottle up emotions. When you are worried by issues, talk to people to help you come out of it. Okay. So when you do that, you'll be able to sustain your recovery. But failure to do these things, then it means you're likely to have some challenges with regards to recovery. And one thing I want people to understand is that recovery is easy, but it's equally difficult. It can be easy when we constantly support people in their recovery. They will sustain their recovery. But it becomes difficult for people when we judge them, when we criticize them, some people even want to set traps for people who have checked out of treatment to see whether they will use or not.
Take it, yeah.
And it's a disease. It is there. The people are making conscious efforts not to use. So you shouldn't place things to trap them. So these are some of the challenges with regards to that.
Okay, you mentioned sponsor. Who is a sponsor in this case?
Right. Yeah. So a sponsor is somebody who has checked into treatment and then is doing well. And then he serves as a mentor or a guide to other people suffering from addiction. So it's more like a
mentor.
A mentor.
Okay.
So the client becomes the mentee to that mentor. So these are sponsors. Right.
Has a sponsor ever relapsed? And if it happens, how would that affect his disciples or her disciples?
Right. So of course, yes. Sponsors, I mean, they have relapsed before. Right. But what happens when you relapse as a sponsor is that, I mean, it affects you greatly. because you will now be concerned for what people will say about you. And then that fear of what people will say also guide most of them not to relapse. So they know that, hey, when I go back and pick my drug of choice, be it marijuana, alcohol, pethidine, and all that, hey, what is ABCD going to say? How will they see me again? How will my integrity regarding addictions be restored over a short period of time? Right. Because to be well grounded in, recovery as a sponsor means a lot. It means a lot of discipline and a lot of effort have been put in place. So virtually most of them try as much as possible. That's how come when you check out of treatment, you continuously have to help others who are suffering from the disease of addiction.
Right.
By so doing, you are guided that you know that, okay, fine, you live one day at a time. Today, I am talking to this person, so I also have to do the right thing to ensure that I don't relapse.
Right. People. Okay. And then, so we got to where when you come to the facility, the assist test.
Right.
So after the assist testing, what next? Yeah.
So, once you've used, you have to undergo a detox. Because withdrawing from the substance is quite painful. The withdrawals, when I say withdrawals in quotes, we hear people saying a tekiaba. It's so uncomfortable. So we have to subject you to medical detox where we clear your system of these substances.
What does it look like when a patient comes in with tekiaba?
So usually they don't come
What's the right term for it?
Withdrawal symptoms.
Withdrawal symptoms.
Yes. So most people do not come in that state. Before they check in, realize they have used heavily, so they are not in that state to feel that discomfort. But you let them understand that when you are undergoing the detox, it is a medically assisted. You just know it. You do certain labs to establish a baseline and all that before you kickstart. Okay. Right. So let the individuals understand that even though it is medically assisted, that obsession, that cravings will be there. But after a period of time, it will subside. When you are done with it, it is relative. For some people, they do it up to a maximum of 7 days based on the symptoms they are still presenting. For some people, they undergo a detox for 2 weeks, some less, based on the substances that the individuals are using. So
after detox, that's the next stage. And then
So very often, detox is not a treatment to the whole rehabilitation program. Detox only helps you to clear the
substance out of your
system, and then you now focus on the rehabilitation program. So from the detox, then you start with the rehabilitation program.
Right.
And then it says 90 meetings in 90 days.
Okay, so this is the rehabilitation program. Okay, 90 meetings
in 90 days,
okay,
which means 3 months.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. But the first month you're undergoing detox, you are disoriented, you are confused. So the first month usually is not counted as part of the 90 meetings in 90 days. So it means minimum, give or take, you're doing a 4 months.
120.
Yes, in a facility. But this is always a challenge. When client checks in and then they feel a bit better, they begin to pressurize facility, and I understand them. That is how the disease is. You feel you're okay, you want to go, but you're not well grounded. Even for those who do the 4 months,
right?
It means, when you do other assessments, it means some areas have not been affected.
Okay.
So you have to do assessments to identify areas that have been affected, like medically, mentally, legal issues, family and social issues, financial and employment, as well as support. Very often when you are addicted, all these areas to an extent get affected. So if these areas have been affected, it needs time for them to be resolved. So just imagine dealing with legal issues, mental issues, or medical issues within a space of 4 months. It makes it difficult.
Right.
You have divided attention to focus on the real program itself. Mm-hmm. So it means you will need a longer period. But for the minimum, let's look at 4 months.
Okay.
Now, it is guided by the 12 steps.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Let's run through them.
Right. Right, no, the 12 steps is a lot.
Okay.
So it helps you to...
We'll come back for
Yes,
part 2.
yes, of course. It helps you to diagnose yourself. It helps you to admit. So when it comes to the 12 steps, I will not be the one to tell you that you have a drug-related problem
Right.
or a behavioral issue. It will help you to diagnose yourself and guide you as to what to do to come out of your problem. And then it also needs a bit of time. So, I mean, it is not something that you do it alone. You need a lot of team to come on board. You deal with the doctors, you deal with the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the lab, and all that. So it's a holistic approach when it comes to addictions and recovery.
Okay. At certain rehabs, you see the windows barricaded. Some actually have like sort of cages to hold people. What's it like at that point? What's it like? Do people want to escape?
So
we need to come into your facility one day and see how things work.
For our space, we don't have those, but it is well fenced. Right. The intention is for you to protect the client from outside and from within. I mean, they are in your care. You will not want a situation whereby they will leave the place and then you will not know where to find them. I mean, to barricade or have a cage for clients is something that is not supposed to be done in the first place. It is so wrong to do that. But, I mean, I don't know the facilities. Previously, I know that they used to have cages, most especially for...
Maybe like a little jail, a square thing, not like a...
No.
A cage.
No, there is what we have a seclusion room, but it is not... A seclusion room should not even be caged. It should be a safe place for people. But these are for persons with mental challenges. But when it comes to, persons with addiction, very often they are more, smart, enlightened, they know their bearings and all that. So for them, they really do not need a seclusion. But you just have to ensure that they don't have access to, when they are withdrawing, it's a mentality. They can easily go outside and have their drug of choice, which we do not want.
So that's why
you have to be there all the time. Yeah, right. Sure.
Right. Okay. How do we find you? How can people reach you?
Okay. So for our facility, we are located in Adenta, behind Boston Medical Center. It's called GAMS Wellness Center. GHAMS. So this Wellness Center. So this is Gilbert, Hannah, Aziz, Mavis, and then S apostrophe.
The four of you.
The 4 of us.
Good job. Good job.
So we came together. We've been to a couple of rehabilitation facilities, and then the intention was to subsidize the service charge for people so that we'll be able to equally help us professionals. So that was the intention. So basically, that is what we do.
This is great. You can put a number out or a website.
Yes. So on Facebook is the same, GAMS Wellness Center. And then my number is 0240 412105.
Right.
0240 412105 or 020 466 4495.
Right. Thank you, Aziz. Before we go to take home for addiction and rehabilitation.
Right. So
2 points, I get.
Right. So let's support persons suffering from addictions disease. Let us not judge them. Let us understand that it is not as a result of a moral failing, but persons suffering from addictions are sick, and that we need to support them. That is what. A
lot of support.
Yes.
Do people still think that people who are living addicts, it's like a disease that's been thrown from your side of spiritual things, witchcraft and all of those things?
For me, I hear that often. But what I always say is that we are spiritual people, especially being African, so we can't rule our spirituality. But I know a portion that talks of work and faith. So even if you believe it is spiritual, it also tells you that, okay, these are the things you need to do to ensure that you don't suffer from addiction or you recover from your addiction's disease. Right.
Thank you very much, Aziz. We'll definitely have you in for part 2.
Right.
We've been having a conversation on addiction awareness Rehabilitation and Growth, and Aziz Al-Hassan is a mental health and addiction nurse. He's resident with the Ghana College of Nurses and Midwives, and him and three other persons make up GAMPS. They are doing amazing. He's been telling us all we need to know, not all we need to know, we definitely have a part 2 about addiction awareness and rehabilitation. We'll take a break. When we return, Jay and I will be telling you all that's trending on Social Media Corner. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
Right.